Welcome back. You're still watching Daybreak on this 6th day of October 2025. And I want us to transition to the next topic. There has been a lot of conversation here about what solutions exist for Chebonai Primary School and other institutions that are struggling with infrastructure. And we hope that something can be done, because learners, young children, should not have to study in such a situation. I mean, how do you even understand what the teacher is talking about when you have to share a class between PP1, PP2 and grade 1, all in under the same roof, which has problems still. Now, to voter listing, and there has been challenges. Not very many people are coming out to register. 6.3 million is the target, national target. As of Thursday last week, towards the end of the first week, it was only 7,000 people that had come out to register. Some are describing different challenges, but also leaders have been speaking at it. Let's listen to what some of them have been saying.
Mimi nawauliza wananchi wote wachukue kura, si ndio? Vijana wetu muko na nafasi ya kuchukua kura, ndio muamue uongozi wa taifa letu tukienda mbele. Lakini mjue hivi, hiyo kura ni 2027. Ama mnafikiri kura ni siku gani? Si ni 2027? Tuko 2020 what? Saa hii tuko 20? Sasa sikizeni. Na hiyo kura itafanywa siku moja, sio mbili, sio siku tatu, sio wiki moja. Itafanywa siku ngapi?
So far numbers za leo tusema ni za kuridhisha, japo bado ziko chini, lakini si kama siku ya kwanza. Kwa mfano kama leo tumemanage kuregister 70.
Hataki kwetu wanasemanga ati my youth majenzia hawatapiga kura. 65% of Kenyans are young people. Na sasa nikarealize our young people kuwa collect pamoja ni ngumu sana. Kuwaita pamoja ni ngumu sana.
Watu bado hawajapata clear information about hiyo registration, how it's conducted, how it's supposed to be done, when is the period to be done with the registration. So you get unapata kuna shida mingi, changamoto mingi, ama unapata wanafanya mahali kama in another constituency, ama they are doing in town.
The voter registration imewekwa mbali na wao. It is costly. Na wanaona kwa the distance, hata kama ni free kukuja kuregister, the distance, the cost that they will be using, the transport, inawakalia ngumu sana.
Apart from hiyo kitu ya kitambo yenye watu walikuwa na chukuliwa hizo nini za macho, yes, sometimes people may fear such things, more so wale wenye wako mashinani huko, sababu hawaelewi ni nini inayofanyika.
Yes, we did what we did in 2024 and it started something. At least people now are interested in the accountability, in making sure that the leaders are accountable. So we want to make sure that leaders, the young people know that we're the majority. Please register to vote, and also in 2027 come out and vote.
Inafanya youth wakose kujitokeza kwenye hii voter registration ni awareness. Many of them are not yet aware. Hii process ya registration imeanza.
Kama unaandamana na huna kula, hiyo haitakusaidia. Utashinda kwa barabara ukipiga makelele na utakuta wewe ndio unaumia, serikali haiumii. Kura ndio itakusaidia shida yako, utaenda kutatua shida yako kupitia kura yako.
That's an interesting point. Hata ukiandamana kama una kura haitakusaidia, but also very important lessons that are getting from the ground. Young people complaining that the registration points are far. Of course, so far the IBC has announced that the continuous voter registration is only happening at the constituency headquarters, unless you have a moving kit. Yes, kit, not kitty. Kitty would be different. Senator, the situation in Makueni, how is it, and how are people coming out to register?
I want to say that the numbers are not yet big, and as you have pointed out, first and foremost, those who applied for ID cards, the ID cards have delayed, and I hope the government is going to move fast and release ID cards to the youth of Makueni and to all youth in the country equally, so that we do not get IDs which have been applied now be released after 2027. So I really want to challenge the government to release IDs. I also want to say that there's a second challenge of having to move to the constituency headquarters. I am aware in places like Makueni, Machakos, and where there are by-elections, they are going to delay till the by-elections take place. But for many other places like Makueni, where there is no by-election, we should be expecting quite a number of people. And just like the gentleman we have seen on the screen, you know, if you do maandamano and you have no ID and you have no voter's card, it's a waste of time. I really want to challenge the young people in the country, the way they were organizing themselves for maandamano, to organize themselves the same way and go and register as voters, because that's what's going to change the country. That's what's going to make sure their wishes come true. I've heard of most of them say Ruto must go, one term. If you are shouting that without a voter's card.
But some of them are also saying 2 term.
I have not met some say 2 term, yet I'm yet to meet them. So I really want to encourage young people, please don't just shout, go and register as a voter, and then come out in large numbers and vote the best way you know. So we should see a situation like the Maandamano situation, going to the constituency headquarters. But I also want to tell them that let's not wait the last day. You know this is continuous voter registration. It will come to a situation where we'll have a nationwide voter registration. And also currently I will request if it can happen at the universities. You know, the way you register the headquarters, you are able to be placed to your village or to your police station. So if IBC can also go to the universities every weekend and also after classes, or even just have a registration, a mobile registration in the universities, because that's where many young people are. I'm sure the numbers will be big, and then you are able to be posted to your village polling station or wherever you wish to vote. Because a lot of times also that mobile registration causes a lot of confusion. You register, you are to be posted to your village, then the day you go to vote, you find you are in another county, or even you are 1,000 kilometers away from where you should be voting. That happened a lot of times in the last elections. So we really want IBC to be accurate. If I register in my university or I register at the constituency headquarters, let my name not be found in Kilifi when I come from Makueni during the day of voting. And also there comes a time to go and verify that you have actually been posted to your polling station. So I really want to ask IBC to think of going to the universities and the institutions of higher learning where a lot of people with the IDs are. And I'm sure the numbers will drastically change. Every weekend they'll be very busy. But right now the challenge is the distance to the constituency headquarters.
And just to clarify, you don't require a voter's card. You just need your ID or your passport. You go get registered, and that's it. You'll appear on the day of voting with your ID card or your passport, depending on what you used. Mheshimiwa Ngogoyo, situation in Kajiado North, what have you seen? What are the challenges that Kenyans are raising there with this exercise?
I think 2 issues that I have had. One is that of the IDs not being available, people having waiting cards which cannot be used, especially the young people. Number 2, of course, like in our case, the constituency headquarters is in Ngong. So you find people in Ongata Rongai probably, especially for young people, do not have the resources to go and do that there. But I'm not worried on this phase because I believe during the mass voter registration, when they will devolve to specific polling stations, that will make it easy. Remember, this continuous voter registration is part of what we have in the new constitution, that it is continuous. So I'm not very worried about the turnout now and the numbers that are increasing. It is good that they keep progressing as they are. But I would be more concerned when the mass voter registration, because naturally, they are, leave alone young people. There are a lot of people in the middle class. There's some gitukus of this world that do not vote. People who live in Nairobi. Actually, I'm just
vote in the last
but I didn't say you.
Sure.
But I'm just saying there are people who live in Nairobi and they don't go out to vote probably. So my concern would be now during the mass voter registration that, and even right now, IEBC needs to be more pragmatic. They need to improvise because you see, if they go with the old tools of IEBC, they will fail. They need to just, even during this time, they just need to be strategic. If there is a campus, for instance, I have African Nazarene University in my constituency, they can wake up one morning and decide to register young people at African Nazarene University. Of course, they complain. I have talked to the returning officer there. They say they don't have resources. They have no allocation at all. That's why they're in the office. They are saying given a little bit of resources. In my constituency, they don't even have a car. So that they can carry their kids.
The IEBC constituency office doesn't have a car?
Yeah. In Kajiado North, it doesn't. They don't.
So how do they move?
During elections, they are facilitated now to be able to procure transport and everything during that time. That time they are facilitated. But as we talk today, we have 3 officers there. And remember, the rest are recruited during election. They operate during that time, which is maybe a month or 2, based on now the contract.
What is the problem? Because I've seen them bring budget requests. Of course, the National Assembly decides what they need to give based on available resources. Why aren't we prioritizing this?
What I think has happened, the IEBC issue is not just a budget issue. Somebody needs to sit down with... There need to be a proper stakeholder engagement because the requirements in different areas are different. I'll tell you when you come to, let me give you Kajiado. There is a polling station in a place called Mosiro, next to Narok. The dynamics of holding an election for 120 voters there and the cost is quite significant. You also have a polling station in Ongata Rongai that has 20,000 called Ongata Rongai Marketea. The logistical planning sometimes are never captured. Even in the IEBC itself, they never capture the resources that are in tandem towards voting there. So you find streams that are very congested, and over time, they do not create new polling stations to try and decongest those polling stations. Now, this demoralizes people during the voting day. So what I think should happen, I saw the chair saying that they are coming to parliament. That the solution is not only parliament. They need people need to understand what are the challenges that voters they don't want to go through during a voting day, or even when they are acquiring their voters card or the ability to vote. Number 2, some of those kids, I have dealt with them since 2007, when we were, no, not 2007, 2010, when we were doing the biometric came first when we were doing it was the Constitution. 2010, when we were doing the 2010 Constitution, when we had a referendum. Some of those kids are way from that time. So what is happening now, they need a lot of changes to be able to be up to date. And one thing I want to agree, let us support IEBC so that they are able to deliver. I would have no problem with them as an umpire, facilitating them, trying to make the process more transparent is an advantage to the country.
So everyone. Okay. Fred Okango, so as we progress, of course, you find that political leaders are taking advantage of the moment. It becomes one of the one of the public messages they have to make. Never mind, sometimes it's partisan. But how do you ensure that, because yes, there has been frustration. The young people, like you hear in that clip in 2024, came out to protest against what was bad leadership. We don't know whether that has been corrected so far. But how do you keep them engaged? Because when people start to lose hope, when institutions like the school you've seen in Chebonei is the way it is, and nobody seems to take any action, how do you keep the young people engaged?
I agree, and that's why the young people are asking, why should they vote? If they vote for you, and you cannot fix the basics like education. Education is an economic and social right in the Constitution, and therefore it is something that you cannot deny anyone. But back to the IEBC, Sam. I happened to attend stakeholders' engagement by IEBC, where they met political parties under the umbrella PPLC. Political Parties Liaison Committee in Manzoni, I think 2 weeks ago. And I engaged with the commission.
You are representing what party?
I was representing my party. Now, the commission, I want to believe.
Which is?
My party is Azimio.
Oh, no, Azimio died.
Azimio died in...
It's not Azimio.
Manzo's political house. But,
who sent you to represent Azimio?
That's who I represent.
Azimio died.
I'm a representative of the political party. Azimio is a political party.
Azimio was in the ballot.
And in fact, in our NDC on Friday, we will pass a resolution that we are no longer part of Azimio.
And you must protect me from Manzo.
Azimio died.
Protect me from Manzo.
Please talk about ODM.
It's a fair question. Which party are you representing?
Which I've answered.
And I'm asking that question because you left KANU.
Yes,
but Azimio is a coalition,
it's
not a party.
Azimio, okay,
no, I do.
Azimio is a coalition, not a party.
You belong to Azimio if you
I am a member of ODM party.
Oh, you yes. ODM now?
Yes, I am a member of ODM.
So you're in ODM?
No. You see, that bothers them a lot. But
no one is bothered.
Yes, I am. Manzo is bothered. Azimio is bothered because they know. They know what is about to hit them. But listen, Sam. The issue of concern is our members of parliament, majority of them have failed. They have failed to address the issues of concern to the people. And that's why these young people are saying, Manzo and the team, if they are not able to effect development, to deliver on their promises, then why should they continue taking voters' card, or rather registering as voters, and voting for people that are going to continue failing? Number two, in my engagement with the IEBC, one of the things that is coming out is this IEBC is new, and they are committed to build public trust. There's been a breach of trust deficit. Yep. That trust deficit, if it is not built, then the public will not see the need. The young people today, with all the challenges of, voter registration, traveling far to go and get registered, is an issue that IEBC is trying to address. But here is the issue, Sam. I strongly believe that one of the fundamental things that IEBC must do now is to try and use the young people in advancing voter registration. They must engage them, collaborate with them, and make them their ambassadors, so that when they go out there to get people registered, to achieve that 6 million vote, the 6 million vote, they have to engage the young people. They are the majority. I had an opportunity to talk to one of the commissioners. I was telling them, today, with the numbers, I know it is just the start, but as the numbers reflect, it will be important for the commission to start engaging these Gen Z youth groups, involve them, collaborate with them, make them your ambassadors, let them visit their fellow young people in the universities, in the colleges, in the market centers, in the urban centers, and explain to them why this exercise is important. Okay. Now, the political class that you have mentioned, Manzo and team here, who is planning to exit his home, they also need to ensure he has a home that is exiting. He has a political coalition that is exiting. Anyway, now, the Manzo and team must also show that the process is, they're the biggest players. So if you're a politician and you're the biggest player in the election, you must support the referee, not by always fighting them, but also encouraging them and giving them an environment where they can come and register your people. Manzo, you have people that want to be registered, and those people look up to you. You need to create an environment where IEBC should come there and register the many young people.
How does that environment look like?
The environment that politicians always create, they create an environment where IEBC is this institution that keep on complaining. They want funds. They go to parliament. Like Mheshimiwa is saying here, parliament is not a solution. Parliament is the solution. They want funds. Those funds, if they get them, they'll reach every single voter or eligible voter. So I believe that the stakeholder engagement, right from the young people, politicians, civil society, religious leaders, and even the media, if IEBC engage them to advance this message, then we can have all these numbers achieved. But having said that, I want to congratulate these IEBC, Sam. They have come out with all the negative effects in the IEBC as an institution. They have come out to say that we are here to do the job and support us. All we must do as leaders, all of us seated here, all out there, Kenyans, we must support them. so that they achieve these numbers, because these numbers are achievable.
Mheshimiwa Sossion, your thoughts about making this work?
Yeah, we must make the electoral process work, and credible elections begins with registration of voters. And we've seen other jurisdictions, even the UK, they've lowered the voting age to 16. In the UK, in the US, you can register even up to the polling day. So those rights, the latitude of granting voters' right can be expanded. And I think as a country, we have an IEBC that has maintained very good registers over the years, no doubt. And I agree with Ngogoyo here, we can share a cup of tea together on this one, that we must all be positive about enhancing the voter registration program at the IBC. What IBC should probably have done, and let us not lament over IBC. Let us support it to work so that we have credible registers. And you know, we are getting to a time where we have a digital register together with a hard copy, and we have an election that is ICT driven, and elections that can be called even as early as 9 o'clock on the polling day, that we can know the provisional results through the ICT infrastructure. That is a journey that IBC has to work, and all of us must support that process, because voting is a fundamental human right for any citizen. And two things that IBC should be able to do: conduct civic education and communicate clearly to the public. And anybody willing to register as a voter should be encouraged to do so. That's number one. Number two, they must review their policy of continuous voter registration, which is domiciled at the constituency, because of reality of distance, or rather adopt a mobile arrangement. If you have one person doing that work, then they can engage in, they can develop a strategy of moving mobility within the constituency so that they can reach the youth and the voters. The Kenyan voters should not suffer and should not struggle to look for where to vote. But the IEBC itself, as an independent constitutional commission, under Chapter 15, that is facilitated, should be able to do that. That is on continuous voter registration. The massive voter registration will be undertaken at the polling station as we move closer to 2027. That's a good thing. But even as a country, are we as politicians, who we are, the animals of this country, able to lead in that space of able to lead the citizens to believe in IBC to an extent that even registration of voters can go on closer to polling day? There's nothing wrong. If I attain the age of 18 in June 2027, and I get my ID in sometimes July or towards the voting day, can I have that fundamental right to be allowed to register as a voter? Those are progressive things we should think as a country, because our democracy has matured, it has come of age. And everybody, and for me, I would call on everybody to vote.
Has our politics matured? Because there's a reason why.
Ask Manzo and Ngogoyo.
Mheshimiwa Sossion, there's a reason why voter registration closes and IBC conducts verification and says that these are the voters that will participate in an election. So if you turn...
It is a common knowledge in this country that we have stigmatized IBC and given it low confidence as a country. I think it is time we change that narrative so that we believe in what IBC does. So that Gituku, if you register as a voter on 7th of August 2027, it is known.
You can actually vote.
You have done it, and you will vote.
Okay, all right. Now, there's a bit of feedback that has come to us that is on the topic of voter registration. Let's hear what it is. This is Frank Orinda, who is saying, youth hold the real power to shape the future, but that power means nothing if they don't show up to register as voters. It's time to turn our numbers into real influence. The government must also fast-track ID issuance so no young person is locked out of the process. Who else is writing to us? This is Babu Michael. I feel the IEBC should be strategic this time round on voters registration. They should target where the youth are mostly available, like campuses. The continuous voter registration should also be mobile and not just based at one specific station. This will really help. That is Babu Michael. Bobo Tieno. Government has elected far registration points to disenfranchise Gen Zs from registering as voters, but Kenyans are always known as last-minute rushers. Let us wait how things will unfold. He says government has elected. I thought it's IEBC actually doing this. Of course, they require the resources, which are allocated by the National Assembly, released by the National Treasury, which, of course, has control being from the government itself. Let's transition to matters politics, because people have been speaking, a lot of things happening, a lot of claims going on, and I begin with you on this one, Mheshimiwa Ngogoyo, because there was